Welcome into another episode of Collective Knowledge. I'm your host, Shane Barrett. You can find me on Twitter at FFShaneB. And joining me tonight is a very special guest. She is a writer for the Fantasy Footballers and the host of the Get Real with Kacey Kasem pod, the social media manager for Dynasty Trade Calculator, and a member of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association. You guessed it, it is the one, the only Kacey Kasem. Kacey, how
Let's
you
do
doing
it.
tonight?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. I've been excited about this all day. So excited to
Awesome.
be here.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I've been excited too. Been looking forward to having you on just because I've kind of looked up to you a little bit ever since I joined the fantasy industry. Always enjoyed your work and just seeing your tweets just because you're awesome, and then also because you're a Cowboys fan. So we can get along there. Um, So before we hop into the questions, it is time for the lovely ad read. You know, got to pay the bills and all. So for our ad read, it is with Thrive Fantasy. Come prop up on Thrive Fantasy this football season. Thrive is a daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. You choose 10 out of the 20 available player props to build your lineup, and each prop is assigned a fantasy value based on the over and the under and how likely they are to hit. Hit the most points, hit the most props, and rack up the most points to win a share of the prize pool. It's really easy to win. I've done it every week since the NFL started, and I think there's only been 1 week that I haven't won. So that should tell you how easy it is to win because I'm not that smart. But with that being said, if you come sign up on Thrive, use code FFShaneB either on the Thrive Fantasy app on the App Store or Play Store, or by visiting www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today. Awesome. All right, Kacey, let's rock and roll.
Awesome.
And so the whole point of this show, for those that are new, is really just to kind of get to know about people in the fantasy industry. And Kacey, you're actually a perfect case in point. You're someone who I've followed for a while and just want to get to know more about you and let my followers and followers of the collective know more about you, kind of how you got started and different things like that. So we'll start with the first question, which we always do, and that is, when was your first fantasy football league?
Whew. Okay, so my first fantasy football league was 2011, I believe. So that was the first year I'd ever played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, how'd you get started? Was it a work league, family league?
Actually, so what happened was I was friends with a group of guys who played fantasy football and they needed another person to
Okay.
join. And so, I was like, sure, why not? And they were like, you enjoy watching football. We guarantee you'll enjoy fantasy football. And then the rest was history. I played, I won, it was actually an awesome experience.
Awesome. How many times have you won that league, or did you win that league?
Okay, so I won the league the first year, and
Nice.
then the next year it just like disappeared. There was no league. So
Oh, that
either there
stinks.
was a league or I just didn't get invited back. Either
Because you were
way,
too
I don't
good, right?
that's probably what happened. I think that their egos got bruised a little bit, that I was new coming in. This chick walks in and takes the whole thing. But yeah, if it's still going on, I hope you guys are listening to this right now. I'm talking about how I beat you.
That's awesome. Okay, so since that league isn't still going, what is your longest running league right now?
So I have another redraft league. So that was a redraft league, and I have another league that I actually started that next year when I
Okay.
didn't get invited back or it disappeared. So it's an all women's league. Uh,
Very cool.
I started it because I wanted to get women more involved in playing
Yeah.
fantasy football. A lot of the times, the things I hear about why they're not playing fantasy football, why my friends won't play fantasy football is, they're not comfortable going into something that they're not that sure of. And
Yeah.
especially when you're like in a world where it's men dominated
Yeah,
and
totally.
you're the only woman in the league, you could feel a bit of pressure. So it's just a chill league for people to learn and to have fun. And it's been going on since then. We do it a live in-person draft every year. So it's
Very
been
cool.
pretty awesome.
That is awesome. Um, you're gonna laugh at this. My wife has been doing our family fantasy football league for, I think, since we've been married, so 4 years. And she actually created a Twitter account last year to follow a bunch of the people that I follow just so she could beat me in that league. And
Hey,
she
I
did.
like that. I like that strategy a lot.
She did end up going on to win. We had 2 family leagues, and she ended up going to win the championship in one, and she made the playoffs in the other. And I don't think I made the playoffs in either. And this year, we're just not going to talk about my record.
That's all right. That's all right. My record lately hasn't been that great. And when I started that women's league, I won the first year. And so everybody's like, it's rigged, it's rigged. And then I won it again and oh, it's rigged. And then somebody else won it. So they were like, all right. So I haven't won since then. And,
Okay.
so sad.
Nice. Nice. So what are the league settings for that all women's league?
So it's pretty basic. It's a lot more complex than it used to be. It's still on ESPN, so
Okay.
I think we're switching over next year because it was just it's kind of chaos to do a live draft when you have to do a live draft with some people being on video chat. So,
Mm-hmm.
like Sleeper allows you to have that draft board. Anything like
Yeah.
that is always like a plus when you're trying to do a live draft and have to have a couple people call in that way. But the settings are basically it's super flex.
Okay.
It didn't used to be super flex when we first started, but it's super flex. It's PPR again. When we first started it was all standard.
Nice.
And we added a few more, positional spots like an extra, a wide receiver or an extra flex here and there. So
Yeah.
we kind of just sprinkled that in as well.
Awesome. Do you still have kickers in defense? I know that's a hot topic on Twitter.
We still have kicker in defense, and it's such a fun league. Like there's some people who just draft a bunch of kickers. That's just what they do, right? And it's like okay, or let's take a kicker first or whatever. And it's like okay,
Yeah.
but it's a fun league. I personally, if I had the choice, I wouldn't have either. Because I don't like dealing with it because I'm lazy.
No, I get that.
So
No,
that.
I totally get that. I'm hashtag team no kicker. But I do love my girl Linda.
For
Her
sure.
her and I
For
go
sure.
back and forth on the whole kickers thing, but it's mostly in good fun. So I appreciate but I appreciate the homage to like the original leagues that we all started playing in, and like the one that you're still in. Okay, so Kacey, I don't know about you, but I am in way too many leagues. So my next question is kind of wrapped around that thought. If you're in as many leagues as I am, or if you're just in way too many leagues, even for what you can handle, what are your favorite league settings? Like if you can only join one more league and it has to be your favorite settings for you to join it, what are those league settings?
Well, for me to be able to join it right now, I would have to say it'd probably have to be something where I don't know. Let me think. If I could just do something where I can just draft and forget about it, like
Like
that's
best
the
ball?
greatest. Yeah, like a best ball, for instance. Like I'm in a best ball dynasty league,
Yeah.
and that's real cool because not that I can set a lineup and forget about it and do all this, but like basically adding that extra little dynasty wrinkle in it changes the whole dynamic of playing dynasty.
Mhm.
Like, so that's what I enjoy really. That's something that I recently stumbled across, and I'm like, I should be in more leagues like that.
Yeah,
A
totally.
best ball dynasty for sure.
Yeah,
I'm
those
about
are
that
fun.
life.
I'm in I think one, maybe two of those as well. And I love it because like I love Dynasty. If I so I plan on cutting back on leagues next year, specifically redraft and kind of sticking with Dynasty leagues just because I prefer
Yeah.
those. Like, but Best Ball Dynasty might be the perfect route for me, kind of like you said, because you can draft it and forget it, but you've still got the Dynasty aspect, which is nice.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that actually leads me to a question that I've been thinking about all day. Like, this isn't on the show sheet, but it's a good question. Do you focus primarily on Dynasty or redraft?
Dynasty more so. I focus on that. And when I'm putting out content, a lot of it is redraft related, especially working with the
Okay.
fantasy footballers.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not the most skilled dynasty player there is, but I feel like my brain is now leaning more dynasty. So the
Mhm.
advice that I give is more in that,
Dynasty
that
centered.
dynasty centered.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That was just something I was like, I don't know off
It
the top of my head if she's more redraft or dynasty.
it was redraft for a really long time. Getting into dynasty was very interesting for me. John Bosch and John Moser over with Dynasty Trade Calculator, they
Yeah.
started a league with brand new people, never played dynasty before, all getting together because I was worried that I was going to get in with a bunch of sharks and then I would be out of luck. So they put together this league, and now there's like a bunch, there's a bunch of different ones, and
Yeah.
it's Dynasty Origins. It's so, and then I started leaning that way, and then now I'm crazy out of control with it.
You and me both. If it makes you feel any better, my first dynasty league was my home league back in Birmingham, and now I'm technically one of the sharks. But the whole reason I actually created this Twitter account was because I had no idea what I was doing in a dynasty league, and I I had to completely blow my team up in year one, and I've been in a rebuild ever since. I'm barely missing the playoffs this year. We voted to not change them from week 14 to week 15. I'm gonna miss them, but just barely.
Darn, man, that stinks.
But I think I'll be good next year. So, okay. So when did you start making content for fantasy football, Casey?
I think it was like right before the 2018 season.
Okay.
That's when I started writing.
Okay. Awesome. Do you remember your first piece?
Yeah, actually I do, because I was so excited to write it. So I was writing it for Fighting Chance Fantasy,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
was a piece on um older players that you can draft at a discount that are going to be helpful for your team, redraft,
Nice.
focused. So it was like a Delaney Walker, Philip
Okay.
Rivers type of, Drew Brees type of artical,
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald, obviously. So that was
That
that
man
was
is
the first
evergreen.
piece.
Well, that's cool. That's really cool. So, what made you start with that piece?
Yeah, so starting writing, I wasn't never going to write. Like that wasn't a thing that ever crossed my mind, putting out any sort of fantasy football content at all, because I was just a fan. I just wanted
Yeah.
to get advice, like you said, off of Twitter and follow the people I wanted to follow and do all that, and not have to do any of the work. But Ryan with Fighting Chance Fantasy asked me if I wanted to write. He saw a tweet I had put out about, I had gone on with my friend, and we were talking about fantasy football, right? And it was just a
Yeah.
podcast. I would go guest on podcasts, but I wasn't like an actual, I'm putting out content kind of person.
Yeah.
So yeah, when Ryan gave me the opportunity, I checked with my wife just to make sure it was okay. And then, and then I decided to do that article. I don't even really know how it came about. It was just something, I think I was really big on Delaney Walker. And so I was like,
Okay.
what can I do to like actually write an article that involves Delaney Walker, but focuses on other players too? Because I don't want to just write a huge article about Delaney Walker. Nobody wants to read that.
That's cool. And you're full-time now, right? In the
No,
industry?
no, not even at close to
Oh, I
being full
thought
time.
you were.
Okay, so there was a point in time where I wanted to be full time in the
Okay.
industry. I don't want to break anyone's hearts, but I'm 37 years old, and I got, I don't want to keep on trying for something that I'm like, eh. So no, I'm not full time. I'm barely part. I mean, but it's like,
Yeah.
no, I got a real 9 to 5 or eight
Okay.
to five, so
Me too.
yeah, there you go. So no, I'm glad I can put on a show and have people like you think that I'm full time in the industry. That's kind of a compliment. Yeah, that's a compliment.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
I
Sure,
really
sure.
thought that you were. So I'm surprised.
Hopes and dreams. Maybe one day it'll fall in my lap because I'm not trying as hard anymore or whatever. But it's just like,
No, that's cool.
it's really cool. One day, sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so what is, and I'm gonna circle back to your 9 to 5, but that's it towards the end of this segment.
For sure.
So what is your favorite thing about the fantasy community?
My favorite thing about the fantasy community is how awesome they are. The community as a whole is like, when how open arms like the community is, because when
Mhm.
I was just a fan and just communicating with people on Twitter that I had no idea who they were, they just wanted to talk about fantasy football, and so did I. And now it's like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you, but like I've made like lifelong friends in the fantasy community
Oh yes,
that
for sure.
I wouldn't have met if it weren't for Twitter and fantasy football Twitter. And
Yeah.
that's a really cool aspect. I feel like that you don't you probably get it in other industries or segments of Twitter or whatnot, but I don't know. I feel like kind of like you said, the fantasy Twitter community is just so interconnected and welcoming for the most part, and
Yeah, I
it's really
mean,
cool to see.
it is great to see, and like I've been around for a while. I've been on Twitter forever, and being a fan forever, and all of that. Just seeing how everybody's so welcoming, so open arms, so willing to help. Like there were
Yeah,
so many people that I went to with questions, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for bugging you, and they're like, you're not bugging me. I want, I'm
yeah,
here to help out. I can any way I can help you. So I can't even thank, people like Brandon, Marianne Lee, and Liz Loza for, letting me ask them questions and have them be like in my corner, hoping
yeah,
and giving me, the smiles and they're just everybody's so, for the most part, like you said. But I just block all the stuff out that I don't want to see, and I see all the good stuff, because that's the only way I'm going to get by in life. So yeah, all about the positivity, guys.
you and me both. I if things get a little too negative on the timeline, I try and do something to kind of like the ship's going towards negativity for the whole fantasy train or whatnot, and I'm like, no, turn back the other way, go towards positivity.
Yeah,
Like,
just
so
just do
I
it.
try and shift it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's our last fantasy question for now. So tell us a little bit about yourself outside of outside of fantasy football. First question I have for you is, what's your 9 to 5?
Hey, okay, so I don't have a cool 9 to 5 job. I know that breaks everyone's heart. I'll work for the
Darn.
county. I work for the
Okay.
county, so I have a government job. I am a quality control clerk, so
Okay.
I basically check documents to make sure that like clerks entered the names correctly and put the and it did all. So basically, because I pay attention to detail, they were like, "Hey, we need a specific job in the office," and they were like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, yeah, I don't have to deal with people, and I can just sit in the corner and do my own thing and listen to fantasy football podcasts and music and stuff. Like, of course, sure, 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 sign me up for that all day. So that's what I do. It's not the most exciting job. In fact, it's not exciting at all, but it pays the bills, and yeah, I can listen to my podcast and do all that fun stuff. So I'm good with
I'm
it.
I'm slightly jealous simply because of the fact that you have a government job. I don't have a government job, but just the fact that you have a government job that you don't have to talk to people in. Like
Yes.
that
Oh,
sounds
right.
awesome.
Yeah, I've been at my job for 10 years. Not all of that's been like I've had to deal on the front lines of the front counter where the attorneys come in, or the pro se people come in and they're upset, and oh my
Yeah.
god, I can't. Mm-mm. I got
Um,
lucky.
I I would honestly probably be one of your least favorite people like if you were in a customer facing role. Um, Not because I'm a jerk when it comes to dealing with those people. It's just I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Hmm.
Because no one really teaches you that in school and like how to adult, and I'm still a young adult, so I'm still kind of learning on the fly. So I'll have to go get my driver's license in a new state. What are all the documents I need? Does this work? Does this work?
Hmm.
Cool. And it's like I don't ever feel prepared when I go into those situations.
I mean, yeah, I know, and it stinks because like all we can do is be like, "Hey, we've got a law library downstairs if you want to do your research." I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you. I can't
Yeah,
tell you what to do.
exactly.
Thanks for us. So I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with people anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, all right. W- So what are some other hobbies or what do you like to do outside of fantasy football?
Well, outside of fantasy football, I like to do a lot of things actually. I've been trying to get into more hobbies and stuff as of
Nice.
late, just to kind of like every now and then your mentals need a little bit of focus and need to like just chill out for a bit. So trying to do more stuff. So I've been on this thrift store kick lately where I've been
Nice.
trying to find like dope stuff to wear.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the dope stuff that I've been finding is like not my size. So I've been buying stuff and reselling it, flipping it, right? So that's been
Nice.
something that I've actually just started doing in the last few weeks. And that's really freaking fun. And it reminds me a lot of like dynasty fantasy
Yeah.
football. I'm flipping, flipping stuff and trying to make trades and do all that stuff. But that's fun. Um, I like to freestyle rap. A lot of people in the community know that I do that. It's far and few between now when I do it because it used to be a party trick, and now I'm like I don't party. Uh, so uh, you know, um, I just usually you can find me like chilling and binge watching like stupid TV shows and just
Okay.
hanging out, with my wife and my dogs. We just kind of chill. So and live music too. I love going to concerts. That's a
Okay. Cool.
great thing for me too. So
Very cool. Okay. So, what kind of dogs do you have?
Okay, so we have 3 dogs. I have a pit bull. He is a full-blooded pit, and he is going to be 3 in about a month. He's crazy. And then I have a shepherd mix, old man named Shiner. So that was Ty. This is Shiner. Shiner's a chill old man, super old man, but he's super cool. And then I have they said the DNA said no Rottweiler, but she looks like a Rottweiler. She's got Doberman and Mastiff and something. She's a big girl.
Oh, wow.
Her
Yeah.
name's Penny, and she's like the biggest ham. She's so 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 cute.
I
So
love it.
those are my dogs.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh, I had another follow-up question for you. Shoot, what was it? Oh, well, I think we'll cover it
Eh,
in the next.
we'll figure it out. We'll get
I
it. We'll
think we'll
come back
cover it
around.
in the next section.
Alrighty.
Okay, so that wraps up the first segment. Are you ready for rapid fire?
Yes, I'm as ready as I can be. Here we go.
All right, we're gonna flip the banners real quick. All right, here we go. Favorite NFL team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Go
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Favorite sport that's not football?
uh Baseball.
Nice. Who's your team?
The Texas Rangers were my team when I was watching baseball. I've
Okay.
been watching baseball because I've been focusing too much on football, so but they're
Makes sense.
making moves and doing things, so we'll see.
Well, they are. My team's not.
Tears.
They traded everybody last season.
Who's your team?
The Cubs.
Okay.
So, shout out Detroit Tigers. You guys got a good one in Javier Baez today. All right. Favorite food?
I love Mexican food, but specifically I like the chicken enchiladas from my favorite restaurant around here. They are delicious, so I will go
Nice.
with that.
And you're in Dallas, right?
I am. I'm just north of Dallas, about 30 minutes north.
Cool.
So yeah, nice Tex-Mex and all that stuff around here. But I gotta go get my man Arturo cook some good food, buddy.
Oh,
Love it.
the
You guys got some good food over there.
the weird parallels that are between you and I are very strange. So back in Birmingham, my family goes to probably technically a Tex-Mex restaurant called Amigos. And the owner of it, his name is Arturo.
There you go. Yep. Arturo's
And
the owner of it. Oh man.
they know my entire family
Yep.
by name, like know my kids, all my cousins, my aunts, my uncles can pretty much get like for the most part, like look at my uncle and be like, all right, you're having this, this, and this, and like know our orders and stuff. So love Amigos. And it sounds like you have a similar place like that in
Yeah, for
Dallas.
sure. For sure. This place I've been going to since I was like 7. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like when my mom passed away, like they shut down the restaurant and everybody that worked there came to her funeral. It was like this big.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah. So I've known them forever. I walk in, they're like, "Oh, you gonna rap for us tonight?" Because I've been known to do that. And
Oh.
every now when I was partying,
That was my other
Yes.
question
Oh,
before
look, I knew your
got.
eyes just got big. You're like, yeah, I know what it is now.
Okay, so who are your influences when it comes to your rapping style?
Um, so my rapping style, I don't I love listening to like freestyle rap. So I
Mhm.
will go listen to any of those like with Flex or any of those freestyles. So just listening to freestyle rap is kind of just a kind of an influence for me. I'm not good with writing down stuff or coming all my stuff comes off the top of my head, and that's
Okay.
why it's not as probably well thought out as the people who sit down and write stuff. But like I'm big into like a Tribe Called Quest and POS is an underground Minnesota hip hop artist. Dilated Peoples, all that stuff, all the
Yeah,
like lyrical and Kid Cudi. I love Kid Cudi,
I
that kind
love
of
Kid
stuff.
Cudi.
Yo, gosh, if I could just, there's no way because I've tried to do Kid Cudi at karaoke and like
Uh-huh.
his cadence and the way he like sing raps. There's no way. Like people are just like get off the stage because Cudi's the only one that can do that.
Yeah, he's so good.
Oh, so good. It just makes me feel good inside when I listen to Cuddy because his voice is beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, because that was my
There you
question that
go.
I had for you in the first segment. Now we'll go back into to rapid fire. Okay, so
Yo, yo.
favorite sports movie.
League of Their Own.
Very good one.
Yeah.
Favorite non-sports movie.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Love it.
All right, favorite band.
Rancid.
Nice. A
Yeah.
little different than, freestyle rap and
It's just a little bit, but the same kind of vibe when you go to the show and I go, it's kind of the same kind of vibe at the show. So I enjoy it because they're both rappers and Rancid. I mean, they're all rock stars.
totally. Awesome. Favorite adult beverage.
I'm a big cider fan, especially
Okay.
Bishop Cider out of Dallas, Austin East
Nice.
Ciders out of Austin. But Bishop Cider has a crackberry cider, delicious.
Ooh, very interesting. And you
Mhm.
said Austin East Ciders?
Yeah, Austin East Ciders is in right out of Austin, Texas, hipster capital of Texas.
That is
And
so
you
funny.
know, it's very true. That's where the good cider comes from because all the hipsters are out there making it. So definitely, they have a really good like most of their dry ciders. I'm a big fan of dry ciders. So
Okay, cool. It's funny because my sister, who's more hipster than I am, just moved to Austin for her new job, um, out of school. So that's why I thought that was funny. So, all right, favorite TV show.
oh man, y'all don't judge me. Glee,
Oh, that's a good one.
I
I'm look,
guess.
you're talking to a former choir kid. Glee's a
Yeah,
good show.
uh, it's cringe to watch now. We rewatched it. It's kind of cringe. It was kind of cringe then. It's really cringe now.
Yeah,
But it's like guilty pleasure stuff. I love guilty pleasure music and TV shows, so combine them. Boom.
boom. Um, this isn't on the show sheet, but what are some other shows that you're watching right now or are good, like, if like just a good throwback show that like you're bored, you just need something to throw on the TV. What are your go-tos?
New Girl is usually New Girl, New Girl, New Girl. Kim's
Great
Convenience.
show.
It is. Kim's Convenience. We watch. Speechless is a great show.
Okay.
Um, these are all like 30-minute comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Fresh Off the Boat. Those kind of
Okay.
like those like wholesome ABC comedies, and like
Yeah.
then also like put on Grey's Anatomy or whatever. Like my wife loves that show, and I
So
used to
does
watch
mine.
it, and then I started watching it more. I missed the whole storyline where like 12 other people died, but whatever. Main
Spoiler
characters.
alert.
Spoiler alert,
Just
they all
kidding.
die, right? I don't know. But but yeah, so that's something too, especially if I like want to do other things, just have that on in the background and
Yeah. Awesome.
lovely.
Awesome. Yeah, so you're gonna laugh, but I think at one point New Girl was my now 3.5-year-old daughter's favorite show. She would literally sing the theme song and just be like, "Can we watch New Girl?" Sure.
Sure. Hey,
So
it's a good one though. So
absolutely.
at least you had that.
Yeah. Okay, last two questions, and this one, these are two-parters. So, favorite defensive player, all time and right now.
Can my all time be right now because I'm in the
Sure,
moment? Can I say Micah Parsons?
of course.
Oh, only, and this is the first time in a really long time that I've been excited, really excited about a defensive player,
Yeah,
right? R- He's going to be, defensive rookie of the year. And
yeah,
like the dude is balling out. So the feeling that I get right now as a Cowboys fan, I mean, I had this in a while where like I
yeah,
mean, yeah, we're kind of on a crap like lately. It hasn't been the greatest situation, but like that boy can ball.
yeah.
So I'm about that life. I know that when we drafted him, I was kind of like, that's a good player, but yo, maybe I don't know. Is it gonna happen?
Yeah.
We got a lot of we got a lot of guys. So but yeah, I would say both of those. I wanted to say Sean Lee for my dad, but I can't do it.
I love that. And I think the cool thing about Micah Parsons is he's so good and so athletic
hmm
that him just being on the field now puts pressure on the offense, which allows the rest of the defense to play even better. It
Yeah.
allows someone like Trevon Diggs, who's kind of a boomer bust corner,
hmm
to be a lot more boom because he knows Parsons is going to get the pressure. And I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that's so awesome how that works out. Like, I was thinking the same thing about Diggs. I'm like, okay.
Awesome. All right. And the last question is favorite offensive player, and same thing, all time and right now.
Okay, all time, hands down, is Tony Romo. Tony
What?
Romo is my number one.
Knew I liked you.
Tony Romo will always be my number one guy. Like, there's no, Travis Frederick would probably be the second.
Nice.
I have a Travis Frederick jersey. I'm like, Travis Frederick. It's so sad that we need you. We need you. I know. But
We
like,
we we
center.
we do.
If not you, we need somebody like you. All right. But yeah. But Tony Romo will always be. I will be a diehard Tony Romo fan for the rest of my life. Like that man changed my world when it came to football. Like I couldn't even. I know this is rapid fire, but Tony Romo. I just have to talk.
All right.
But
It's rapid fire. It
rapid,
always has been.
rapid. Okay, but yeah, Tony Romo. I hands down. Yeah, I'm not even. And then as right now, I've got a few. I'll always be a Jamison Crowder girl.
Okay.
I will.
Okay.
Even when he's disappointing, which is a majority of the time. But he's always been my boomer bust. But he always booms when I play him, except for as of late, not really. But Cortland Sutton, I think, is actually my number one right now. He's not a
Cool.
cowboy, but I met him and he was the nicest guy,
Oh, that's
nicest
awesome.
athlete that I have ever met. Super awesome. Got to take a picture. He complimented my phone case. I always tell people, oh, yeah, he liked my phone case and all this stuff. But he was just super awesome. So I have to go. I have to go with Cortland Sutton.
Nice.
But Cowboys, I would probably say I would go with Michael Gallup because
Okay.
I've been a Michael Gallup gal as well. That's my wide receiver love over there. So I'm gonna
So
go with
you're a
that.
gal up.
Yeah. That's a funny one. That's a funny one. I like it.
Awesome. So do you still have the phone case that Cortland Sutton complimented?
I, I'm sure maybe in a junk drawer somewhere. It's like
I was
it
gonna
was
say you
all
gotta
like
at least show it to us if you still
that's
got it.
yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but it had grapefruits on it.
Oh,
It was
cool.
pink and it had grapefruits on it, right? And
Nice.
so he was like, "Oh, this is cool." I was like, "Yeah, I
Nice.
guess." Thanks, Mr. Sutton. So,
Well, that's cool. All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of Collective Knowledge. Thank you for joining. Um, if you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe on YouTube, the Fantasy Football Collective, and you can follow me on Twitter at FFShaneB. Follow us on Twitter at FF_collective. And Kacey, before we sign off, where can people find you? What are you working on? What do you want to plug? It's your glory moment right here.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for letting me come on, asking me to come on. This was so fun. I'm usually the person interviewing people, so it's nice to be on the other end of that. Like I love talking about myself, so, so thank you. um anyway, you guys can find me on Twitter at the Kacey Kasem. It's the Kacey Kasem. Yes, like Kacey Kasem. Anyway, except for I spell my name differently because my parents, whatever. There's a little story there. And then you can also find I do a podcast called Get Real with Kacey Kasem, which is an interview style podcast with people in the fantasy industry, and you can find that wherever you listen to your podcast. At Get Real underscore pod on Twitter. Been a little been taking a little bit of a, like I said, mental chill break lately, but I got a few episodes that I need to put out, and those will come out soon. I write over with the fantasy footballers, like you had said, social media with Dynasty Trade Calculator. Awesome dudes over there as well. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on. I had a blast. I hope you did too.
For
And
sure.
that wraps up this episode of Collective Knowledge. Cheers.